Walking out onto the springboard at an Olympic Games is a pretty surreal experience. You just have to let your body take over and know that you've done all the training, that your muscles remember what to do, and it all just happens. I feel extremely proud to be an Australian Olympian. It's not a title or an accomplishment that I take for granted.
Both my mother and father are from Tripoli, Lebanon. They fled Lebanon in '86 when the civil war was happening. And when they came here, everything my father did in regards to working 16-hour days was to give us opportunity to strive for something they never had. To be able to give back something to a country that has given me so much will just be the absolute most humbling and most gratifying experience.
4 weeks ago, Safwan Khalil and Annabelle Smith were both getting ready to embark on their third and most challenging Olympic journey.
When COVID hit and you heard what was going on all around the world, and then they postponed the Olympic Games, I was actually tossing whether I would continue or not. You know, I'm at the back end of my career. It took a lot longer to get through this, and it's been the toughest process by far.
Not only did it mean an extra year of wear and tear on the body, but a journey to a country in the midst of a state of emergency with rising coronavirus cases.
We just finished our 8th checkpoint here at the airport. Now we're going to immigration. I don't even know where this hallway ends. A very different Olympics.
The view from the bus window was the closest Australia's athletes got to the hustle and bustle of Tokyo.
When it came to mingling or hanging out with any other athletes, we were really quite restricted with that. The only Japanese people we had contact with was the village volunteers, and they were lovely, but once you got on that bus and you were going to your training venue or the sports hall, the only thing you could do was wave from the bus. That was it.
COVID tests were done daily. A positive result meant the immediate end of an athlete's Tokyo Olympic dream.
Every single morning you were in a state of anxiety, just hoping to God that you weren't the person to get called out, because in Taekwondo we had two athletes get called out for COVID and not be able to compete. You always had physical triggers to remind you that this is very different. Everywhere you went, there was people wearing masks. There were so many rules around everywhere you went. There were so many people cleaning after you, everything you did. Glass perspex, even when you went for food in a dining hall.
Historically, with big crowds at the diving at the Olympics, you draw off that energy from the crowd and it adds to the atmosphere, whereas this time you really had to create that energy for yourself.
Millions of local Japanese were strongly opposed to the Games proceeding, but it wasn't enough to counter the billions sunk into them.
The Tokyo Games, which are summer games, are the most expensive summer games in history. The bid, which was originally at $7 billion, will end up at 3 times that amount. So we think around $25 billion is what it'll cost the Japanese taxpayer ultimately. In some ways, the Olympics in Australia in 2021 has a captive audience. This is an entertainment for a COVID era.
Well, beautiful people, let me introduce you to the big boy himself. This is Jack Marton, our fellow Olympian competing in the men's under 80 kilograms, and he's making his debut.
It was a family affair for Safwan these Olympics. His partner Carmen is Jack Martin's sister.
Not yet.
From her Melbourne home, Carmen painfully watched both men bow out in their first round clashes.
It has been so hard to support Saf from home. When Saf was defeated, it was heavy. It was heavy because this was his last shot.
Today was one of those days where you feel like you're in quicksand. The more you fight, the harder you fight, the worse off things get.
I'm getting ready for my competition tomorrow, feeling really excited, a little bit nervous, but mainly just ready to go.
Yes. Girl.
A bronze medalist in Rio, Annabelle fell just short of qualifying for the 3-metre springboard final in Tokyo.
My competition didn't go as I would hope, but I gave it my best shot and I really fought hard to the end. I'm excited to get on the plane and start my quarantine before I can head home to Melbourne.
Since the start of the pandemic, Annabelle's been separated from her Melbourne-based parents as she's been training in Adelaide.
So I think mentally she's struggled at times being away and such a long process. But look, you know, she's chasing her dreams and she loves what she does. So I think she would say that it was worth it. All of it's been worth it.
Hello, hotel quarantine.
Safwan and Annabelle now have a fortnight in quarantine to contemplate their time at the most isolated Olympics of the modern era.
It's so good to see so many athletes around the world who had to dig deep, some finishing on the podium, some not, but that doesn't define how hard they've had to work over these years.
I think it was the best decision to hold the Olympic Games because we've seen how much it's brought the world together, united everyone through sport and brought smiles to people's faces all around the world.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.